We have very warm people, intelligent, creative, innovative. We have 200,000 Kenyans working in Saudi Arabia. And you have known their culture of hard work, of creativity, and being innovative. And it is because we spend, as a country, every year, $5 billion to educate our people, every year. This year, we will spend slightly more on making sure that all our kids are in school, our colleges are working, our universities are properly aligned. And I want to promise you that we will continue to prepare the best possible human capital to work for the people of Kenya and to work for humanity, including in Saudi Arabia. We have deliberately built a business environment, an investment environment that supports investors. We continuously refine our policy framework. In this year's budget, for example, we have close to 10 items on our legislative process to make it better, easier, much more facilitative for investors like yourself, for business people like many in this room, to find an opportunity to work either in Kenya or in other countries from Kenya. And again, I want to inform you that that will continue to be the case. We will continue to engage with the private sector. We will continue to engage with our investors so that we can align our laws and align our policies to make sure that they support our investors to invest in our country and they support our business people for them to set up camp in our country. We have a very democratic system. We have a system that is based on the rule of law. When you come to Kenya, you will not, in your mind, entertain the notion that anybody can do anything and get away with it. That will not happen. We have a sound footing of the rule of law to make sure that we protect everybody in Kenya and every investor and every business person that works in Kenya. We have a very robust service industry. We have as much technical support as you may need, whether it is banks, whether it is workers, people who have different expertise. If you're looking for engineers, if you're looking for bankers, if you're looking for whoever you're looking for, you will find them in Kenya. So there will be support for your business from the service industry in the Republic of Kenya. Kenya is a very geostrategic location. Working from Kenya, you can access markets in Europe because we have signed the Economic Partnership Agreement with the 27 countries in Europe. You can access the American market. We are members of AGOA. And in many of these markets, you will access these markets duty-free, quota-free, and you have the advantage, working from Kenya, to be able to access those markets for the products that you will work with us to manufacture out of either our special economic zones, export processing zones, and these two gentlemen are here to make sure that they support you to find space and to find the opportunities in our special economic zones. You will also have the opportunity from Kenya to access a bigger market than the 55 million people in Kenya in our continent. You will have the opportunity to access the 1.4 billion people in our continent using the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And if you want a slightly smaller market, we have one called the East African Community. And if you want a combined market, you can combine the US, Europe, and Africa into one block. And therefore, the market for your products is limitless, if I can say that. So from Kenya, and I am very clear in my mind, you have the best workforce, you have a good business environment, you have a good service industry, and you have a geostrategic location that can make it possible for your products, for your services to access the largest market with preferential treatment. When I say the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we have tried as a continent to consolidate the African market. It was very fragmented because of different taxes and tax regimes and different treatment. We have tried to harmonize, and I'm very proud that the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is one signature achievement of the African continent. Many people did not believe it was possible to bring 50 countries into one trading bloc, but we have achieved it. And that is what is on offer for you when you set up camp in Kenya. So just to give you assurance that you will get value for your investment in Kenya. We produce about 5 billion liters of milk in Kenya. It is our position, and we have made the necessary policy interventions, including reducing taxes on supply of animal feed and items that are used for animal feed. We want to increase our milk production to $10 billion liters every year. And there is a big market for export of that milk in Africa to begin with. We are ready to invest with some of your companies in making sure that we provide the necessary incentives for us to achieve that. We already, by the way, we have the cows. All we need to do is to provide additional food. That's all. So we are not going to buy cows. We are not going to have new farmers. The farmers are there. We just need to make sure that the production of milk goes from an average of 3-4 liters to 10-15 liters, and we can double or even triple our production. That's an opportunity for you to consider. In the space of leather, we have the third largest herd of livestock in the continent of Africa. And there is an opportunity in the leather industry. It is, at the moment, very rudimentary, not very well developed, and that means that there is a big opportunity. Just for Kenya, to give you some numbers, just for Kenya, we import on average about between 12 and 15 million pairs of shoes every year. I am willing to change policy so that we can buy locally made shoes if you guys work with our private sector and produce the shoes. There is opportunity for leather products, not just in Kenya, as I told you, in the markets that we have preferential access. So again, you have an opportunity to invest with us. And by the way, we slaughter 3 million livestock every year. And therefore, we have 3 million hides and skins every year for you, ready. Most of it, there is scope in ICT. We are currently moving all government services from an analog manual platform to a digital platform. Already in the last 6-7 months, we have digitized 5,084, I think, government services. We intend to complete that process of digitization by the close of this year so that we run an e-government. We will need potential, we will need expertise, we will need capacity from different players. We are working in that space, and as you very well know, Kenya is a very tech-savvy country. Many people, one way or another, can operate all manner of gadgets, including my mother, who never went to school. She knows how to run her account on M-Pesa somehow. So we all are moving in that direction. And you are aware we have opportunities in Konsa Techno City, which we are calling our civil Silicon Savannah. We will appreciate you to think about investment in that space. We have a shortage of 2 million houses already, a backlog of 2 million houses in Kenya. And we have an opportunity to house close to 6 million Kenyans as we go forward. So we have made a policy decision as government that we want to deliver between 200 and 250,000 houses every year. There is opportunity in the construction industry for Saudi firms, either as contractors, suppliers of construction products and materials, suppliers of financing, to speak to the good man here who has deep pockets. So we have opportunities in the housing space because we have made a decision that we want to get rid of people living in informal settlements and give decency and dignity to our people. And we have turned what was our problem, we want to create opportunity out of it. And we want to work with partners like yourselves. And let me take this opportunity to thank you, Minister, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the offer that you have made for 1 million Kenyans to work in Saudi Arabia. I have already set up a team in the government of Kenya, working between the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Interior, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to make sure that the very high quality labor that is available in Kenya, we combine and we connect with the very good opportunities that exist in Saudi Arabia for employment, so that we can mutually benefit our two countries. The Minister for Labor is here, and she knows my instructions. Yesterday, I'm very happy that you signed an MOU for the first 10,000 jobs, and I will make sure that each and every one of that 10,000 happens, if possible, this year, so that we can then move on to the next level. We have all the expertise you need, from unskilled, skilled, professional, and everything in between. Doctors, and nurses, and engineers, and technicians, and nurses, and everybody. So we are very clear, and our Department of NEA should be able to provide, National Employment Authority should be able to provide the data for the people we have to make that assignment possible. I am looking forward to the conclusion of the negotiations that are going on, and I really want to appreciate the positive consideration that we are receiving from Saudi Arabia on the supply of fuel products, that shortly, maybe in a month or two, I want to see new prices that will help deliver better prices for our consumers. We can reduce the cost of petroleum products that go to the people of. We have very warm people, intelligent.
Your Excellency, today we are honored to have this delegation of the leading Saudi Arabian companies, led by the Minister for Saudi Arabia for Investment, Mr. Khalid Al-Faleh. Your Excellency, the companies which are here are not less than 25 companies. Most of them are listed in the Saudi Stock Exchange. As a matter of fact, even the Saudi Stock Exchange itself is here. The CEO of the Saudi Stock Exchange is here. The net worth of the companies that are here, and that is now public because all of them are listed, most of them are listed, is $2.5 trillion. So sitting here with us today is somewhere in the region of 25 times of the GDP of Kenya, but we are not intimidated. So we are very grateful to this delegation. We found a lot of convergence. I will introduce you to the companies in due course to see and what are the interests that we have agreed on. But we are even more grateful to His Royal Highness King Salman and the Crown Prince, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, because when we sent this invitation from you, normally even for G20 countries, and Saudi Arabia is a member of G20, it takes a waiting list of like 1 year for them to, this kind of meeting to happen. But this one happened in 2 weeks. As a matter of fact, when I talked to my brother, he told me that he was actually supposed to be in a state visit by the Prime Minister of Singapore. But to point to the importance and strategic value of this relationship, they were able to mobilize within a very short time.
The leadership of King Salman and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is very keen on integrating our economy, our people, our strategy with the entire African continent. We see Africa as part and parcel of our future. And through that integration process that we're strategizing around, we see a number of countries as key gateways into this great continent that is going to grow at multiples of global growth. And we see demographics, natural resources, logistics and location, and a number of other factors as drivers for not only growth in terms of population and GDP, but also prosperity. So we want to be your partners for this. We are extremely, extremely impressed by what Kenya is doing under your astute and visionary leadership. And we congratulate you on the many steps that are taken forward. With a GDP of 120 billion, a population over 50 million, a great strategic location is only part of what is at stake for these great companies that accompany me today. We see you as our landing point for not only East Africa, but for Central Africa. And ultimately, as I dialogued with His Excellency Moses Correa, we see you as a role model for what other African countries should do and should follow. And we want to bring the best that Saudi Arabia has, whether it is the companies, and you will hear from them directly in a couple of minutes, but also our capital, our location, our integrated value chains in the kingdom in energy, manufacturing, food processing, global logistics, ICT, and so on and so forth. And we want to do as much as possible before hosting the Saudi, the GCC, the Arab, African summits that we're targeting to take place in October, inshallah, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.